Hello, and welcome to Mailin It, the official podcast of United States Postal Service. I'm Karla Kirby.
And I'm Jeff Marino. It's not hard to see that so much of the money spent on marketing these days is going to digital channels. That makes a lot of sense given the world we live in, but it doesn't mean digital is the only or even the best way to reach every audience.
Sounds like you're winding up to talk about direct mail, Jeff.
Well, yes and no. Now, we've talked on the podcast many times about direct mail and how it's a very effective way for businesses and other organizations to reach people. But we've never really talked about the future of direct mail, what happens when you have generations of digital natives running the show.
If business owners and marketing professionals don't have much exposure to the power of direct mail, it's easy to see how it could be overlooked. But you said yes and no, Jeff. What is your angle?
Well, today, we're talking about a Postal Service program called Direct Effect. We launched it a few years ago to introduce marketing students to direct mail. Our colleague Carl Boettner is here in studio with us today to talk us through it. Carl's the Postal Service Program Manager who manages the Direct Effect's day-to-day operations. And also joining us is Izzie Gerber, a University of Massachusetts Amherst student who recently participated in the program.
Well, I can't wait to hear about this. Carl and Izzie, welcome to Mailin It.
Good afternoon.
Hello, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
So, Karla, where would you like to begin?
I think the best place to start is to explain what the Direct Effect program is. Carl, can you help explain Direct Effect and the role you play in the program?
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. The Direct Effect program is all about introducing direct mail marketing to students. The Postal Service, through Direct Effect, offers typically 3 different pillars of this program, 3 different ways that we try to reach these audiences and reach these students. One of them are in-person lectures. We also offer these digitally as well, where we teach students about stats with direct mail, about direct mail's relevance in the marketing landscape and its value to marketers. We show them direct mail samples. We show them different ways you can utilize direct mail that they've never even heard of, and it really helps to open their eyes. Another great element of our program is the innovation challenges. These are our marquee events where we have in-person competitions between students where they come together, develop direct mail campaigns for a live client, and ultimately get that nice real-world experience.
Now, Carl, if I'm not mistaken, the last pillar has to do with online education courses, right?
Of course. We have a e-learning platform that we utilize for the Direct Effect program. It consists of really quick but dense courses online that we offer on a variety of topics regarding direct mail. The best part about these classes is that they're self-paced, so students can take their time with them. We know they have busy schedules, of course, so this is something that is really easy for them to implement in their schedules. They can earn badges as well and certifications for their programs. So this is something that helps them differentiate themselves in the future when they go off in their careers. Recently, we just had a competition online called the Fall Marketing Blitz, where students are competing against schools across the country to complete as many courses as possible. These really help them engage with direct mail in a way that they haven't before and supplement the material that they're learning in their classroom.
Okay, so that's a pretty good overview. Now, Izzie, you participated in one of these innovation challenges. How did that come about?
I was a student at Mass Bay at the time. It was my last semester, and I'd taken a marketing and advertising class with one professor the spring before, and he'd reached out to me and a few other students to form the team, and he sent us like a ton of background materials and videos from previous Direct Effect challenges to kind of prepare us, and also just so we could see what everything was about. And the 6 other students that I work with, I think I only knew 2 of them, but I didn't really know anyone else. So this would be my first time like meeting them and also like working together as a team in a competition setting.
So, Izzie, what were your initial thoughts when you learned about the Direct Effect and when your professor invited you to participate in this particular challenge?
At first, after watching all of the information that he'd sent us, I thought we were just like creating a postcard and like that would be it, and we'd be judged on like how good it looked or something like that. But then like we later all realized that it was more of like a full day omni-channel like marketing challenge, and it involved real clients and just a ton of other different areas that we had to pull from, besides just, coming up with like, not like a craft, but just coming up with like a mock-up of something and then just presenting it. And I think something that we all thought was pretty cool is that direct mail isn't something that's mentioned a lot in our classes unless you like intentionally take like an omni-channel marketing class. And a lot of people, when you take marketing classes, you're kind of looking more into like internet marketing or like social media, because obviously that's what's popular right now. So it wasn't something that like a lot of us saw as relevant. But that started to change as we discovered like what the challenge was actually about and how you integrate mail with social media or other kind of like digital marketing channels.
So, Carl, some of what Izzie's saying probably sounds familiar based on what you've seen and heard over the years of speaking with the students. What are some of the perceptions that you get from students when you first start telling them about the Postal Service and about direct mail?
Sure. There's a lot of surprises to the students when we go and do a lecture or when they come to one of our events for the first time. They're seeing something that, as digital natives might not be front of mind, and we're exposing them to this whole new world of direct mail. So there's things behind that even the Postal Service does, right? People don't realize the scale of the Postal Service network. They don't realize the scale of how many marketers are utilizing direct mail out there. Lots of large companies across the nation, all 50 states are utilizing this channel. The Postal Service just celebrated its 250th anniversary, for example, and is, one of the biggest employers in the country. And so there's a lot of information out there that students just aren't aware of, and it really opens their eyes when we go and do these lectures or we do these events or expose them to some of our content online. So, in addition to that, right, there's a lot of things that they may not realize about how the Postal Service is modernizing or how print has modernized. There's a lot of different things out there in terms of print technology that, mail is a little bit more than just a white envelope, or it's just more than a postcard, for example. There's some really cool things that you can do with direct mail, and the Postal Service is this massive network that's evolving and will continue to evolve moving forward.
You talking about that irresistible mail campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good example of the innovative ways you can show mail. In the classroom, we like to show examples of, what people are doing with mail, whether you're applying something such as scent, texture, and more. There's so much that you can do with direct mail to really make it stand out in that mailbox.
So, Carl, once you start showing the students what direct mail can look like and talking about how it's used, how does that change the conversation?
Yeah, so we're all about equipping them with these new skills when they go out into their careers in the future. And so as that perception changes throughout the events or throughout the lecture, for example, we open their eyes to those things such as engaging the senses. And then you really get them thinking about this concept of omni-channel marketing that Izzie mentioned a little bit ago. When you utilize all these channels together and create this cohesive experience from a marketing perspective, you're going to find more success. And so we really encourage that with our mailing campaigns and teaching them about how to execute these campaigns. So there's lots of great technology you can implement as well. So you have things such as QR codes. In even rare cases, you have virtual reality or augmented reality that can really enhance the value of a mail piece.
Is there something you learned about direct mail, Izzie?
Yeah. Something I learned about, well, Carl just mentioned it, is that there's a lot of different ways to make mail fun and engaging besides just having a QR code. So you could have different things like it could have like a sensory thing going on. Like you can make mail fuzzy, which I thought was super cool. Or also just making mail more personalized for people. Instead of it just being more of like a broad campaign, you're really just focusing on targeting like a certain demographic.
So it'd be interesting to hear what your experience was like at the Innovation Challenge. What was a competition like that like? I understand you got to work with an actual client.
It was a super fun day. I remember we had to get up at like 5 a.m. because we all had to meet at the school, and then we drove into Boston, but we were just super excited on the car ride in. And obviously we talked about how it's like a whole day of marketing and just the competition and then judging and everything like that. Our client was the B-side, which is more of like a youth-oriented part of the Boston Globe. So it's focused more on like millennials, Gen Z, things to do in the city, things that are more interesting, I guess, for people like me. And then we had one day to create a direct mail campaign. that promoted the B-Sides digital content because they wanted to not only attract more people to subscribe through their newsletter, but also to interact with their content on social media. And it was super cool because it felt like a real world kind of experience, which I guess it was, but having, a client come in, talk about what their mission was, what they needed from us. We conducted a ton of research about different demographics within Boston that fell into Gen Z and Millennial. And again, it was just super cool to hear about a company that this was not a real problem, I guess, but it was coming up with a solution for something that we knew was something that they were already looking to do, expand their reach and everything. So it kind of just made it feel more real. And our concept was mail piece, and it had a phone on it, and it was an interactive kind of mail piece. So you would be able to scroll kind of on the phone, and we had fake notifications from the B-side, and then we also had a QR code there. And then for the other channels, which is the channels that I worked on more instead of the actual mail piece, is we worked on different social media campaigns as well as posters that people my age would see a lot. So posters you would see maybe at a train station or a bus stop. And we ended up winning second place. Berkeley Music was first place, and their idea was amazing. When they presented to it to the whole group, we were so surprised because it's just oh my gosh, how did they come up with that in a few hours? It was insane. And then after they announced the winner and everything, Margaret came over to us and she was all it was super close, and first and second place actually gets to go to the National Postal Forum in Nashville in a few months. So even though we were disappointed, obviously who wouldn't want to win, but hearing that it was super close was really great to hear. And also hearing that we would be able to go to Nashville for the MPF was super exciting too.
So, Izzie, it's great that you got to go to the National Postal Forum. So for our listeners who may not know what NPF is, it's our premier annual conference for mailing and shipping industry partners, and it's attended by leaders from across the industry, including many of our own from here at the Postal Service. So, Izzie, was that experience phenomenal? And would you compete again?
It was a great experience, and we got there, and it was kind of like the competition from October where we all got up super early, and then we got there and we immediately jumped into different activities and panels. And I got really scared because we didn't really hear anything about if we were competing or if we were just watching people compete. And I was I don't know if I have the brain power to think of another campaign. But we didn't end up competing again. But what we did is we stayed in the room where the competition was happening, and we got to walk around. We got to see all the other teams coming up with the ideas. And what I thought was super interesting is that there were actually two different sponsors that day. I think it was Geico and Chick-fil-A. So I know that me and my teammates, we were talking, we were which company would we want to create something for? And we also got to attend a ton of different sessions and panels throughout the week that we were there. And there was just so many different opportunities to just ask questions about USPS, about direct mail, and how it connects to other marketing channels. And it was also great to meet different Postal Service executives through networking events at night. And again, just talk about their careers and learn more about USPS besides I feel what everyone's kind of surface level knowledge is, where it's oh, it's mail, but it was a lot more than that. And it was just a great experience.
Nice. Well, Carl, the Postal Service has hosted 17 of these innovation challenges since the first one began back in 2019. And according to my notes, over 13,000 students have actually participated from 200 different schools. So why do you think the innovation challenges have been so successful?
Yeah, they've been really great recently, and I think there's nothing better to do than to ask actually Izzie, why did you participate in the Direct Effect Innovation Challenge? What drew you to it? Recruiting students is something we're always really excited about because we want to share this information. So what drew you to Direct Effect?
I would say it was definitely my professor's enthusiasm about it. And then the more I learned about it, I was this sounds like it would be a great, real world experience. And because I also was thinking about, post-graduation and internships, I thought it would be something great to have on my resume or a cover letter or be able to talk about it in a job interview.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great way, as I mentioned earlier, to differentiate yourself, right? This is this new skill that you're learning that kind of gives you a leg up when you're going out there and trying to, find a marketing job or find a marketing internship. Working with real clients is something that you can't imitate anywhere else in the classroom, right? You're working with real companies with real problems, and that's ultimately the best way to learn. These competitions and having these opportunities to attend the National Postal Forum really expose you to these vast networks within the mailing and shipping industry, within the Postal Service and more. So, we're really glad that you had a good time, and, we're really excited to continue to host events like this.
So, Izzie, you've seen how creativity and communication come together through mail and marketing. So how do you think this experience will shape the kind of marketer or communicator you want to be?
I would say it actually had like a huge impact on my UMass Amherst experience, since I transferred from Mass Bay in the spring, and it just really solidified my interest in marketing and communications, but specifically within like integrated marketing communications. So I came into UMass Amherst as a communication student, and then I ended up switching my major to BDIC, where students are able to create their own major. You create your own title, and you're also able to create like your own curriculum. And I designed the concentration in integrated marketing communications because of how much fun I had at the challenge. And I also like love the feeling of like walking out of there, getting second place, but also like seeing how the different channels come together and can create like a cohesive and large campaign, and how the message like might be the same across different platforms, but it's just presented differently. And I love thinking about it as kind of like a puzzle. So
I think that's great that you were able to find a career path that interested you, and that Direct Effect played a role in that. I'm really encouraged by that. So, Carl, what sort of jobs do you see the students who've participated through the Direct Effect program actually landing in the end?
Yeah, so these programs give you such a broad array of experience, and we've seen schools compete with a variety of different teams composed of majors such as surprising majors, even some. Biology, pharmaceutical, computer science was one of the winners last time. And so it shows that these skills can be applied across the board. So, there's a variety of different industries, whether it's the mailing and shipping industry is one that this can certainly, prep participants for, finance, retail. Really, the possibilities are endless in terms of employment for this program.
So we only really touched on part of Direct Effect. Carl, I understand there's an eLearning program as well. How does that part of the program work?
Sure. So the Direct Effect Innovation Challenge is, of course, one of our biggest events and a great way to participate. It's a lot of fun. But we always look to have a variety of different offerings for our program. And so we offer these online courses. We call them eLearning. And so on this e-learning platform that we utilize, there's 6 different courses right now, and they're a great entry point for anyone trying to get involved with Direct Effect or direct mail in general. They teach the basics, such as creating direct mail, and then they get all the way from, industry-specific topics, such as direct mail with retail, omni-channel marketing through integration of a variety of channels, and then, of course, it wouldn't be a modern, discussion without AI, of course. So we're dipping our toes in some AI coursework as well. And so, they're really a rewarding experience because they're quick. They're relatively easy to complete as students. And then you have that badging we talked about earlier, which gives them a way to, promote the skills that they've learned through the program.
So how many badges have been awarded thus far through these programs?
Yeah, so we've awarded over 7,000 badges. And so we're really excited to, hit milestones like that and, hope to, get another 1,000 soon.
So, wow. So clearly students are taking advantage of the e-badges as a way to highlight their achievements and demonstrate real-world marketing knowledge. That is absolutely incredible.
I am a proud owner of a Direct Effect Credly badge on LinkedIn. And we were super excited to get that because obviously as a student, I feel like building up your LinkedIn is super important. And I was just really happy to have this badge on my profile. I think in the badge as well, it kind of tells you like what the challenge is a little bit, or I added like a little note to it as well. And I was just excited, again, to have something to add to my resume that included real-world experience that I could bring up in interviews, even though it was only for a day. The things that I learned, and again, how it solidified like what I wanted to go into for a career, I think is a really great talking point.
Carl, I wanted to ask you, you talked about this Direct Effect program, not just being Postal Service, but there's the mailing and shipping and industry involved in this as well. So what does the Postal Service and the mailing industry get out of this program? Izzie's talked a lot about what she's getting out of it. What do we get out of it? I'm sorry for being selfish, but I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, and so it's this really great ecosystem, like you said, of Postal Service, mailing and shipping industry, and then ultimately academia. And so I think everybody wins in a different way. Izzie's provided that student perspective of getting that real world experience and kind of getting her eyes open to this new marketing tool that she has in her toolkit that she can use in her future. But beyond that, for the Postal Service perspective, we're by teaching these students here now about direct mail, we want to help them in their careers, right? Give them that new tool, give them those new skills. And they can take that when they become decision makers in these companies. Now they know how effective mail can be, right? Mail is a really powerful marketing tool. And so by utilizing that, that of course pays dividends to the Postal Service in the future, providing with more mail volume. But they get effective campaigns out of it. We get more mail. The professors get this new knowledge that they can share with their students. So everybody really wins in this overall kind of collaboration with Direct Effect.
Okay, and then my other question I had is actually for both of you, Izzie and Carl. Carl, you referred to this generation that we're teaching as digital natives. I'm really curious from Izzie's perspective, what does a digital native bring to direct mail that maybe we haven't thought about before?
So as someone who spends a lot of time on my phone, I'm seeing all these different digital campaigns, thinking about what kind of campaign would work on me when I got a piece of mail, and seeing like, is this effective? Like, would I actually do this? Whether it's would I actually take the steps to scan this QR code or maybe like take a survey or something like that. Thinking about how we could connect it to social media. But again, really, it's just thinking about how we could get people my age or maybe like millennials and stuff to actually take that extra step that, digital campaigns don't have to do. Where really they're looking for engagement or likes and views. When it comes to like direct mail, you're looking for people to maybe follow you somewhere or again, like take a survey.
Okay. Carl, what about you? What do you think the digital natives bring to the program?
Yeah, the value of being a digital native, right, is how to utilize these other channels. And you might not be an expert yet, but you have a lot of exposure to digital technology and all these other marketing mediums that are still critical in today's day and age, right? The program doesn't shy away from technology. It's about utilizing technology with direct mail. And so this audience already has a good grasp of these digital channels. And so it'll be easier for them to actually implement direct mail because they have that understanding already. So direct mail becomes kind of that new channel to them versus with other generations, it might be flipped.
Okay, great. So if someone is interested in the direct mail program, how can they find out more about this?
Sure. So we have a website, USPS.com/Direct Effect Innovation. And so at that site, you'll find a lot of great content about our innovation challenges. You'll see there's some videos even that show students like Izzie participating in the challenge. We have links to our coursework that we talked about. So all that coursework is readily available for anyone who'd like to take it. And then we have some other resources and the ability for professors to actually request a lecture or a speaker as well.
So, Izzie, after everything you've learned, when you check your mailbox now, do you see it differently?
Yeah, I think going back to, growing up on social media, I remember like getting really excited when I would get mail in like elementary school, middle school, high school, and then even now. And I think after the challenge, I look at it a bit differently and I look at it more closely. So I'm a little bit more critical of whether the direct mail I received was effective or not, or I think about it, I'm like, I actually do want to maybe scan this QR code or follow their page on this because the direct mail that I received was so effective. And then I also now see mail less as like an underrated marketing channel, but like a main marketing channel that I think more people should use, especially when you're thinking about integrated marketing campaigns. And lastly, I would say I just have a better understanding of the benefits of using marketing mail in a campaign and how when you use it alongside social media or other posters, it just creates a stronger and more cohesive campaign. And you also reach a lot more people sometimes with it compared to social media, where sometimes you're only hitting maybe like a few people's FYP. And when I say FYP, I mean like For You page on TikTok or like the Explore page on Instagram. But if you get like a few different postal codes, then you're able to reach that many more people.
Well, Carl, thanks for stopping by and teaching us about this. I really appreciate you coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about it.
And Izzie, best of luck in your studies. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
It's time for another round of Did You Know, when we share interesting facts about the Postal Service. Jeff, why don't you take this one?
Will do, Karla. For this episode's Did You Know, I wanted to talk a little about a fact that I found related to mail delivery. Did you know there's a street in Philadelphia called Elfreth's Alley, and that it's the country's oldest continuously inhabited residential street?
I did not know that, but I'm not surprised. It is Philly. Lots of postal history there. If it's an alley, how many houses are we talking about?
There are 32 houses, all built between 1720 and 1836. The street's located in a 1 square mile section of downtown called Old City. Seems appropriate given how close it is to Independence Hall, where both the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution were signed. And Elfreth's Alley isn't too far from the first bank of the United States, which was founded by Alexander Hamilton. In terms of postal history, Elfreth's Alley also shares Old City with the Be Free Franklin Post Office. Be Free sits on the site of Benjamin Franklin's former home and print shop, and it's the only colonial-themed post office still operated by the U.S. Postal Service.
Well, that is pretty amazing. And that wraps up this segment of Did You Know? Well, Jeff, it was great to hear how, I guess, our millennials or our digital natives are connecting with the legacy Postal Service and just where we are as far as rolling out new and different products for our consumers.
Yeah, I think for me, we've heard about the power of direct mail in previous podcasts, and we've talked about it. But to hear Izzie talking about it and having some enthusiasm for it, like she said, and having Izzie design part of her undergraduate program around mail and marketing and including direct mail as part of it is really encouraging for the future.
It definitely is.
And that's all for this episode of Mailin It. Don't forget to subscribe to Mailin It wherever you get your podcasts to make sure you don't miss the next episode. And follow along on Instagram at U.S. Postal Service, X at USPS, Facebook, and YouTube at USPS.